Saying that to say, I saw Spence at a wedding just a couple of months ago. Shout out to Tommy, been married now for a couple of months. And Errol happened to be the best man at the wedding. We talked for a minute, but I didn't ask him any questions about boxing. He looked good. He looked like he's, carrying the weight pretty well wherever he's at. And I know in the past we've seen him, balloon up. We've seen him be a little, chubby, thick, whatever the case may be, as we all do at some points in the neck and that face area. You guys know how it go. I didn't see that when I saw him at the wedding. So I'm like, okay. And then we were hearing the rumblings of a Fundora. When I think fighters get to a point where they want this, but they haven't been performing there. And I think that might be the case with Errol Spence Jr. Certainly was the case in my opinion, with Keith Thurman and also with Danny Garcia. I feel, even though they did battle injuries, I felt another big part of that was they wanted big pay against lower opponent. They didn't want to come back and get big pay against a big opponent. It's a part of the game. And I got a feeling that that's what Errol's looking at right now. I think Errol's looking at how can I, get the money that I'm used to getting. And, for the sake of words, he's got to get his feet wet again. He's got to see how he feels on game night. And as far as I know, he still doesn't have a coach. So it's a lot of things lingering right now with Errol. I'm not sure if he makes a comeback. This, unfortunately, is the one thing that I do know. Most fighters walk away until they have to come back, and usually it's the finance situation that brings them back. Certainly hope that doesn't end up being the case with Errol.
Okay, let's talk. So Shawn Porter, did a clip on Errol Spence and said he seen him at a wedding. He looked in shape, but probably siding with he didn't ask him, but he's not coming back to the sport of boxing. And he's been off going on 3 years now, I believe. Rightfully so. If your money together, your paper together, so be it. I think he probably does want to come back, from what I understand. But the business of boxing, is on some malarkey. The business of boxing on some malarkey. And he made a point. He said if you see him come back, or usually fighters do come back, it's because they need money. And that's a fact. When you start talking about inflation, eat through money, when you got kids, especially when you got kids in the house or you co-parenting, that money eat up, especially if your money ain't making money for you. So that money, it get ate up pretty quick. Some of these guys are smart enough to buy land like Errol and cattle and probably scale back the lifestyle a little bit. I heard him talking about, not wanting to buy chains and buying chains, and they kind of was like useless and all that. And why are you on a bike on this small ass road? But yeah, I get it. I feel him. But if you don't, I think he wants to come back. Nobody, wants to go out the way he went out against Terrence Crawford. I don't think that's people's. I think he wants to go out on his own accord with his hands raised, even if it's versus a smaller opponent. You know what I'm saying, or not that big of an opponent. But yeah, PBC, man, I think he said something very, interesting in that particular fight. And where he said that, he said something very interesting where he said that, they want, some of them guys like Danny and Keith and Errol, they want big money for lesser names. They don't want a big money for bigger fights. But that's what PBC was built on. It's like if you raise a kid, you know what I'm saying? If you raise a child, and you spoil them from 0 to 12 or 13, and then you talking about go earn it and get it on your own, and you did everything for them, it's gonna be a shock. Well, this is what we've been doing my whole boxing career. This is what Fight Nobody, get a lot of money. Fight guys I can win. Now you want me to fight, guys that, it may be a 50-50 or I might be the underdog for decent money. Like, no. So if I got enough money saved up, I can make demands. I have leverage if I'm Jamel Charlo. Yeah, I want 5 to come back. If I'm Errol, I want Blase Blah to come back because, you know, I got leverage. I have leverage. I'm good. But, you know, like when Shawn Porter said, when they do come back, it means they ain't got no money. They don't have any money. So that's one thing that you got to look at. They don't have any money left. So now the leverage is just give me what you can right now. You know, but that's leverage. But on the thing about it, if you know that you eventually going to come back, you know, you might as well take what they give you right now, stay active, and build yourself up to that big money fight. But I was listening to Tom. He was like, yeah, either guy had to come back in a year. If you don't come back soon, you know, it's going to be a wrap. And he right. You know, you can stay in the gym and do all those things in the gym you need to do. But after a while, you know, it's going to be tough to come back. Very tough for him to come back and make a comeback. So, you know, it's hard. It's hard to tell somebody that he felt like he done a lot in the game just to take what they give you for the level of fight you want. It's hard to tell a guy who feel like, you know, they're above the average line, way above it. But it might be in your best interest in the long term. You know, to get in where you fit in. A lot of those guys have egos where, yeah, I can't see me fighting on his undercard. I'm bigger than him. I'm better than him. But sometimes it's just the activity that you can get. Getting into a rhythm. You know? Then you can, you know, people see you back. But it's a risk to it because if you come back and you fight that lower name guy or that no name guy, you know what I'm saying? You fight him and you lose, then it's all gone. So that's the security of wanting the money, but it's up to him. You know, and if he's staying in shape, maybe he want to stay in shape for lifestyle purposes. You know, he did suffer injuries. He did suffer, you know, an eye injury. So all that, you know, staying in shape, eating right, and that all, you know, that all helps, you know, that all helps. You know, staying in shape, that helps all of that. So, I said, if you do or you don't come back, you know, whatever it'll be it. And Shawn was like, to his knowledge, he doesn't have a coach. I mean, if he was planning on coming back, he probably would find a coach. He probably would find a coach. You know? That's the thing about it. He probably would find a coach and be working with him right now. So when the iron was hot, you know, you heard him about to fight Fondora. That seemed like it was a smoke screen for them to have an excuse not to fight Terrence Crawford. You know, it was rumors recently of him fighting Jamel Charlo. I know Charlo wanted a lot of money, so damn near, you know, Spence wanted a lot of money. So yeah. You know, people wanted money. People want money. And you know, but when you come up in a culture of you don't have to fight the best. When you come up in that culture, you don't have to fight the best to get good money. And you know, when you get older, you like shit. You know, they don't understand the business that the money is gone. They don't understand that, and they don't care. So, but you know, to each his own. You know, you hope that they, you know, figure it out. But, you know, I knew when I seen Jamel Charlo lobbying for Terrence Crawford, he just feel on that, he gonna die on that hill that I want this amount of money, but they were never stars to demand. They never deserved the money to begin with. You know, they never deserved money to begin with. They were getting compensated not to fight the guys they should have been fighting. They were getting indoctrinated to bum bash, and it hurt their career when they went up against the real cat pillars of the world, the real elites of the boxing world. You know, like I said, if it sounds too good to be true, it's usually too good to be true. You know, and that's what it is. You know, when you cut corners in the beginning and don't do it right again, you know, there's going to be issues. It's like I always say that with Ozempic. I say it with Ozempic all the time. You know, people thought you could take a shot and lose weight and it wouldn't have no ramifications and consequences. Like, no. You know, people think they can just get body work done and, you know, there's not going to have any consequences to it. It is. When you do it right, you don't have to worry about looking over your shoulder again. It's like you take a legit route and you go to school, you know, or you do what you know how to do, get your plumber license, start your business the legit way and do it the right way. Hey, you know, somebody come knocking asking if you legit, you ain't got to look over your shoulder. You ain't got to worry about being, you know, picking up money from a cash spot, getting robbed or getting shot at or sleeping at different spots, kidnapping your people or you. When you choose to go the criminal route, you got to look over your shoulder for the rest of your life. You know, you leave that life behind. Okay, cool, leave it behind. But still, what you've done there is imprinted there. And some people may not be so forgiving of your maturation or your change. You know, some people may not be forgiving. Like, okay, he changed for the better. I don't give a fuck about that. You shot me in my ass. So you got to remember those things. But it is what it is, man. Let me know what you girls and guys think. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Next subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications, increase your chance, get notifications. We go live and drop video. Follow me on X, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, join the Patreon, everything inside the link tree. Peace.